Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post. Disney deletes woke Star Wars film and trans Marvel show. Disney is still trying to get their act together, but one of the things they don't want to do is upset anyone else if they can avoid it with any of their big intellectual properties. Bob Iger is on the way out. He's already made plans. Look. From Business Insider, Disney CEO Bob Iger is moving to cement his legacy by undoing his biggest mistake. In addition to leaving the company, he's also looking to make a little bit of extra money. From The Hollywood Reporter, Disney CEO Bob Iger to sell up to $41 million in stock. Iger adopted the trading plan on August 14th, and that allows for the potential exercise of his vested stock options. When you are an executive of a company and you get stock in the company, or if you're on the board of directors or both, you have to have a plan for how you're going to sell the stock. There are brokers that will do that for you. And yes, this was back in August he planned to sell, but he's on the way out. He's looking to cash out. In the meantime, they're pulling Star Wars movies. Now, from The Hollywood Reporter, Disney takes Star Wars off the 2026 calendar as Ice Age 6 grabs the date. It's a key date. It's in December. It's around the holidays. They have no faith in Star Wars. They know they can't guarantee a Star Wars movie is going to come out and make money. What they can do is take a movie like Ice Age, which is a great brand that they have not paid any legitimate attention to, and turn it into another Inside Out 2, or at least some significant half of Inside Out 2. They spent billions of dollars to acquire Fox. Part of Fox was Ice Age. They did close down the animation studio that made Ice Age, which unfortunately cost people a lot of jobs, but they could at least make Ice Age movies. The only Ice Age project I've seen is the one they released on Disney Plus, which really was a waste because this is a major franchise. The movie did make a lot of money. And as part of cementing Iger's legacy as some sort of a media genius, it would be like media at least intelligent, if not genius, to exploit the intellectual properties that you guys acquired. This is the same company that did Frozen. Frozen 2 made an absolute fortune on Frozen 2, and it's taken them forever to even get around to making Frozen 3. When they make Ice Age 6, and then they make Frozen 3, you will notice that the stories are coherent and they're okay. There's not going to be anything groundbreaking in there, which is to say they could be releasing these on a regular basis. So less with the Star Wars that they know people will not support, and less with the trans agenda mixed into Marvel. From the New York Post, Disney removes cartoon episode about transgender character. It breaks my heart. Not my heart. That came from somebody in their animation department. An episode of the Disney Marvel animated show Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, focused on a transgender character, will no longer air. News broke this week that the episode, which leaked on YouTube, has been pulled from airing on Disney Channel in 2025 because of its LGBT storyline. According to Polygon, which is great with this kind of stuff, the episode, titled The Gatekeeper, is about the transgender character Brooklyn, who is voiced by Pose star India Moore. Brooklyn is competing on the girls' volleyball team and faces discrimination from the opposing team's coach. Greer, one of the characters, reportedly uses a magical key to lock Brooklyn and her teammates in the girls' locker room. Brooklyn breaks down to her teammates and tells them, quote, "I'm trans. My very existence breaks Greer's rules." Brooklyn also wears Pride-themed knee pads. I can't comment about that. And has a trans is beautiful sticker on their water bottle in the episode, according to Polygon. I don't follow this cartoon, and I guess it's the her show and his knee pads and all that. I'm just going to go through the article right now. Derek Malik Johnson, a member of the show's storyboard revisionist team, addressed the episode being pulled in a since-deleted post on the new social media microblogging site Blue Sky, which is a version of Twitter and a version of X, and all the liberals are running over there right now. Quote, "So I guess I finally got hit with one of the projects I worked on getting shelved because of which party that won the recent election," he wrote. Quote, "It breaks my heart knowing this impactful and amazing episode is now about to be considered a lost media episode. Other animated artists spoke out on social media and similarly speculated that the episode was removed because Donald Trump won the presidential election. Well, it's not just because he won the election. They claimed they had made the decision to not run the episode a while ago, before he won the election. But him winning the election and winning it in a landslide and winning the popular vote in addition to the Electoral College, which means more people in the country voted for him, all combined than other people, it does make you think perhaps this move to push social ideological change on children in Marvel cartoons is not really completely appropriate. Perhaps the electorate, the people who are in the country making decisions, raising their own children, don't want this in their cartoons. Another storyboard artist on Gravity Falls wrote on Twitter, quote, "Disney should be ashamed of themselves for canning this episode. You don't get to approve something and then destroy it at the last minute, shattering the crew's hard work and hopes." Actually, that is how it works. The company that pays for the production and owns all the intellectual property does get to approve or not approve, and then reapprove, and then approve. It's their content. It's their show. It doesn't matter if you kind of just worked on it. You worked on it for them and you took the money and they have the decision-making power. They probably shouldn't have made this episode in the first place. I don't know who this character is, this transgender Brooklyn character in Moon Girl, if that's really helping them or not. It doesn't sound like it's helping them out a lot. I wasn't aware of it until this story. But if they decide to get rid of certain shows or episodes or entire shows, of course it's up to the company. It's not up to the people working on the project. When you're the creator and you own your own work, you can decide what happens to that work. When you pay other people to do it, usually you control what happens to all of the work. Matt Braley, who created Amphibia, responded to her post and said, quote, "If an episode got this far, it was approved multiple times by multiple divisions, only to suddenly be struck down at the last second? Total breakdown of process and spitting on your team's careful, thoughtful work. S&P approved this episode. It was good to go." Quote, "The action being preemptive makes it so much worse to me," Braley added in a second tweet. "The absolute cowardice and second guessing, when actually this is when the content is needed most. This is not when the content is needed most. If your audience is not interested in this, you ought not to be producing this at any level, not initially, not in later production, not like a year from now. If it's controversial, why are you going to do it? Also, they just brought the Marvel brand back from the dead with Deadpool and Wolverine. They did that. Not all of us were even sure that that was possible. Although, generally speaking, if you make something good, people will give it a look. And if people love it, they'll go and they'll see it more than once. That's what happened to Deadpool and Wolverine. They're not going to risk the entire Marvel brand and all their relationships with all their customers anymore, including parents of children, just to push an ideology that less than half the country could have any interest in. It's not like every person who would follow this and agree with this is even watching the show. So why are you doing it? They're not doing it. A Disney source, though, did tell Polygon that the show's decision was made over a year ago and was not based on the outcome of the election. Quote, "In this case, the decision was based on the specific episode, not because of the character being trans," the insider claimed, adding that the episode is not banned, but it's being held. The source also said that Disney is really proud of the show and that the company is respectful of the role that parents play in the discussions they have with their children. Disney is respectful of the role that parents play in having conversations with their own children. This seems to come up a lot in my videos, and I'm not going out and looking for it. It's a big issue. It keeps repeating. Part of this whole woke agenda is to separate parents from their own children, is to take a mass media outlet or the federal government or some major outfit, some major entity, and have that entity make decisions about what's appropriate for your own children. That ain't good. And it's good that it's getting eliminated, but it can't get eliminated fast enough. That is severely toxic stuff, and no one should be telling you how to raise your children. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is based on the Marvel Comics characters Lunella Lafayette and her dinosaur companion. The show premiered February 2023 and won 5 Children's and Family Emmy Awards, but it was canceled after 2 seasons. However, Disney still has several more episodes in the tank, pre-produced, that are expected to air in 2025. Just not this episode. A few days ago, there was a really strange article published in The Hollywood Reporter talking about how everyone inside of Lucasfilm was trying to figure out how they could get their hands on the Rey character in Star Wars. From The Hollywood Reporter, Star Wars movies race for Rey and the future of the franchise on the big screen. The scavenger turned Jedi, played by Daisy Ridley in the last 3 episode movies, is key to the space opera's next turn. This is unusual. They went on to say that there are a lot of people that want to use the Rey character in their version of Star Wars, but someone else wants to use it, so they're fighting over it, and they can't decide exactly what the future of Star Wars is going to be. But there's surely going to be a future, and by the way, Rey is going to be heavily involved in it. Are you sure, though? Is she really going to be involved in it? Because 3 days later, The Hollywood Reporter is putting out this story. Disney takes Star Wars off 2026 calendar as Ice Age 6 grabs the date. The Star Wars film was originally set to hit theaters in December 2026. Disney has removed a planned Star Wars movie from its 2026 release calendar, while the latest installment of a popular animated franchise will take that slot. Ice Age 6 has now been slated to hit theaters on December 18, 2026. Details of the Star Wars film that was initially set for that date had not been disclosed. Do you understand? Let me just say now, when they're doing an animated project, they have so much control over that animated project. No one is really arguing really aggressively, certainly not successfully, that they need to change the Ice Age franchise. They did that with Pixar. They're not doing that again with any of their franchises. I'm not saying go see Ice Age, but I will tell you this, Moana 2 is not going to be off base from Moana 1. They've had it with doing that stuff with their established brands. They're not doing that. And Bob Iger, as he's planning to leave Disney in 2026, is not planning to leave Disney in 2026 with leaving a lot of money on the table and making his company look completely foolish by not focusing on the brands they know are successful and that they can make money with. They've made Star Wars into such a complete mess, it's really not fixable with 1 or 2 movies. They need to wipe out not just Kathleen Kennedy, but everyone at Lucasfilm. There's no one at Lucasfilm that they actually need there. They could easily just bring the Star Wars property even to another studio or put it inside the Marvel studio and just make normal Star Wars movies, which ultimately they will do. For some reason, Bob Iger does not have control over Kathleen Kennedy. He can't make a change over there, so he's not making a change over there. In the meantime, they can at least shelve some of these projects that they know are going to be a failure and save his reputation, save his legacy by putting out another successful animated hit. And if Ice Age 6 is successful, if it does do significant business, then that franchise is worth a lot of money. Not the tens of billions of dollars that they spent on buying Fox, but at least it's something they own that can be seen as valuable, and I'm sure that helps them from an accounting standpoint. Let's continue. Disney announced last week that Simon Kinberg had been brought on to write and produce a Star Wars trilogy. Sure, why not? Just keep bringing them on. Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy will also produce the trilogy, with sources telling The Hollywood Reporter at the time that the films would involve new characters and would not be a continuation of the previous Skywalker saga that spanned episodes 1 through 9 of the science fiction franchise. Daisy Ridley's character Rey Skywalker is the focus of a different Star Wars movie that is actively in the works from director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. This project was first mentioned at Star Wars Celebration in London in April 2023. Has Ms. Chinoy worked on any major franchises? No, she hasn't. Has she worked on anything with like a $200 million budget? No, she has not. Why is she working on this? Because she is a feminist and they need to do another feminist Star Wars movie. She's made small films that got some critical acclaim for basically being a feminist movie. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's what she's doing. Earlier this year, the studio announced that directors Jon Favreau's Pedro Pascal-led feature The Mandalorian and Grogu will hit theaters May 22, 2026. The film is a spin-off from the hit Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, which released its 3rd season last year. That movie ought to be successful for them. If it's not successful for them, who knows what they should do at this point? They know how to make a successful Mandalorian and Grogu movie. It's Baby Yoda. How could you go wrong? The original version of The Mandalorian worked. Why not just do more of the same? And that is what they're doing with this movie. I would imagine perhaps Bob Iger has no control over the Lucasfilm operation to the extent that when they do more terrible Star Wars movies, at least he won't be CEO anymore. And maybe that's the logic here. Disney revealed at D23 Brazil last week that Ice Age 6 is in production, with Ray Romano, Queen Latifah, and John Leguizamo reprising their voice roles. The animated property was acquired as part of Disney's purchase of Fox, and the new movie will mark the series' first theatrical title since the deal closed in 2019. They did do a Disney Plus movie, nobody cared. Ice Age Collision Course, the fifth installment of the franchise, hit theaters back in July 2016. It surpassed $400 million at the box office. Ice Age could be a billion-dollar property for Disney, they just have to put the movies out. And I can't even tell you why they didn't focus on putting out sequels of things that were going to have just basic mediocre storylines, which is okay for sequels, that's what people expect. But why couldn't they have done that for Ice Age sooner? Why couldn't they have done that for Frozen? Because for some reason, they're just not focused on their business. But now they're getting focused because they've been beaten up. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.